Welcome back to the Global Business Report here on Arise News. So, the World Economic Forum has announced its list of new global leaders, young global leaders who have made invaluable contributions to shaping policies and improving communities worldwide. You should recognize the lady in the middle there. A healthy number of women recognize, also some Nigerians. That's Chinwe Egwim, Chief Economist at Coronation Merchant Bank, amongst a number of other impressive Africans that have been nominated, and also recognized Oluwatosin Olasende to the right there, founder and chief executive officer of Money Africa. That's class of 2024. We're happy to have a member of the class of 2023, Peace Hyde, who's a creative and executive producer at Netflix. Peace, good morning to you. Great to have you in here on a holiday. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you for having me. I'm very excited to be here.
I'm glad to have you as well. So look, the World Economic Forum, tell us about this program, because is networking one of the main draws of the young global leaders and the resources that the World Economic Forum makes possible for you guys to do what you do?
I think the foundation of it is networking. It brings together like-minded individuals that have a passion to really impact positively and change the narrative for the world as Africans, but also as individuals on a global scale. And so they bring together people through networking. But once you're in that community, you have option to educational resources. You get the opportunity to meet people from all walks of life that can really impact your individual journey and leadership, but also your professional journey and your business opportunities. So it's in a very incredible, powerful platform, which has been running for extremely long time, but it's very, very incredible. Okay, so
what kind of impact do you seek to have by being on the platform in terms of the community impact?
I think, if I'm totally honest, I've always aspired to be part of the World Economic Forum, Young Global Leaders. I saw it as a group of almost Avengers that wanted to change the world. And I thought if I had the opportunity to be part of it, it would be a huge learning opportunity for me. Yeah. I know a lot of people who have joined this community have gone on to innovate the most incredible things, built huge funds together. But for me, this was more of a personal journey. As my career has evolved in terms of the leadership capacity, I felt there was a lot of opportunities, especially educational platforms and Ivy League access to resources that would help you improve yourself as a leader. And also build a community of people that are like-minded about creating impact and also improving your personal conduct. And so for me, it was really an opportunity to just brush up on my own skills and meet like-minded people that can really make a change.
As far as making a change is concerned, can it only be achieved through public office? I mean, we got a really young guy in Senegal who's the youngest president in Africa right now. He's 44 years old. Can it be only done through public office, or as far as this community through the private sector, is that also possible through that avenue as well?
I mean, I think that technically, yes, it can only be done in public office because it's who's in the seat of power that can effect the change. But one thing that I've noticed with the WEF community is you have people that are ministers, you have people that are big entrepreneurs that are all coming together. And by them coming together, it means it's those conversations, it's the opportunity to learn and evolve that is actually influencing how these public sector people are able to impact change, because you're now exposing them to innovation, new ways of thinking, and enlightening them. So I think that it's actually a community effort, but fundamentally, at the end of that result of all those influences, it's the person who sits in the power that affects the change.
Yeah. Okay, so what kind of, you've dealt with heads of states, big executives and so on and so forth. What kind of collaborations yield the best results?
From my personal experience, I think it's all about value exchange. I think that if it's a one-way collaboration, you're never going to get the true fruit of what two people can bring together. And I think that's a power of the WEF community. The criteria to join them is so stringent and the standard is so high that every single person within this ecosystem is bringing the highest level of value. And whether it's in a personal or professional context, you always have the opportunity to evolve, grow, and learn. So I keep using those words because that is really what it is like when you're experiencing them. I've been part of this community for a year, and it's been a hugely transformative process. But I think that it's a value collaboration that will yield the best results, because then you're able to work with each other's strengths and produce something exemplary.
Leadership keeps coming up when we talk about the young global leaders, obviously, when we talk about where things are in the world right now. There's so many elections going on. What is the best leadership? Is it courageous leadership, or is it innovative leadership? Or I don't want to say both because that's an easy answer. But if you had to pick, you had to
well,
pick one.
To be honest,
yeah.
It does sound like an easy answer, but in actual fact, it's the truth. Real innovation takes courage because you're going against the status quo. You're creating something new. And courage takes innovation in your personal sense because you're having to step out and do something maybe that you're not used to doing. So you're challenging your own internal kind of systems and the way you function. So I think one can't exist without the other. But one thing that I think is important to emphasize is the power of community. Because even if yourself happens to be in a very key leadership position, it's important to align yourself with a team and a community that fill out your strengths. Because one person may not have it all, but with a good few drops, you'll create an ocean. And so that's what I think the power of that community, which is the World Economic Forum, has demonstrated over the years, where you are able to bring through a lot of people with value that collaborate and come together, and then they're able to affect change because you're learning from people that have strengths that you may not necessarily have strengths in, experiences and exposure that you may not have. So
technology, right? As far as what we have, of course, our Eye on Tech segment every Friday, right? So we talk a lot about technology. The ability for technology to make things more efficient, improve productivity, is that another avenue for the kind of change that we're trying to see and what you folks, the YGLs, are doing?
I think technology is an inevitable impact. Is coming, whether you acknowledge it or not. I think it's something that is really redefining what it's like to just live, and our human experience is being heavily impacted by technology. I think what I've realized is we tend to look at these big innovations that are shaping the way we live, but I think it's very important to look at the characters that are sitting at the helm of these innovations and having the power to use these innovations. I think it's so important to look at the character of the people that are actually bringing in this technology. Technology in the right hands can be hugely, hugely positively impactful, but in the wrong hands, it's hell.
Yeah.
And so I think that it's so important to look at the character, the morals, the values, the integrity, the purpose of why these technologies are being created and how we can leverage them in a successful way. But I think character is so important.
Yeah.
And I think I keep sounding like I'm a brand ambassador for Worth, but I really am. But it's such a powerful community because that is one of the key areas that they look at. It's about integrity, it's your character, it's your morals, it's your values. It's not just about getting a title, it's not just about a lofty position, it's about your conduct in and outside of that community. And I think when you arm yourself with those things and then you have access to a seat of power or technology or any other innovation that is shaping our world, you can do so many positive things with it.
Hey, we had the lead for space technology from WEF yesterday talking about their new report on the space economy. So I love that conversation we had. So WEF is doing amazing things, and Horizon has been going to the World Economic Forum now for years. I did mention the president elect of Senegal, Mr. Bao. Is youth the right kind of leadership that we need? When you think about like the president of Cameroon and these other older octogenarians that we've had.
I personally, I like to call myself youth. And I like to see that the youth are sitting in the seats of power and affecting change. And so when I see a young president, for me, that's inspiring. It shows that there's change happening. I think that this is the beginning of a new season for us as African youth. But I do think it's important that once you occupy that seat, your experience, the value that you bring in that seat is what really is going to be the testament to whether this is the direction we can go in. So he has a lot on his shoulders because the rest of the continent is looking at him as almost an example to see, is this a fad? Is this, a nice idea, or is it actually something that is going to impact positive change? Yeah. I really hope that that is the results that we see, because I do believe that that is the future.
All right, Gal, well, just one more question for you. The world is dark right now, okay? There's a war in Ukraine, there's Russia invasion, there's the Israel-Hamas conflict that's leading to loss of lives. You've got situations going on in the Red Sea, Houthis. I mean, so I want you to try to give us the bright side. And when I say bright side, we do pop culture on the show.
Right.
Throwback Thursday, a song that came out actually 20 years ago in 2004, Mr. Brightside from The Killers, right? So I'm just we're gonna play, you know the song?
I do know the song.
Oh, great, so let's play a clip from there. Now, the thing about that song, I think we can put up the lyrics. Mr. Brightside is actually a negative song. It was about paranoia, jealousy. He was going through something with his ex-girlfriend. But even within that dark, negative song, the lyrics, destiny is calling me, open up my eyes, I'm Mr. Brightside. I mean, how does that not speak to the young global leaders, right? So amidst the wars, amidst the conflicts that are going on, where is the bright side?
Well, I actually see it as a positive song, first of all.
Oh, you do? See,
yes, and there's actually
right?
a few interviews that he's had where he's saying it's not, it doesn't come across as a negative song.
Yeah.
Because what he's doing is saying, I now have my eyes open.
Right.
So the reality of who his girlfriend was in the context of the song is saying, now I know who I'm dealing with. I have my future where I can see clearly.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean she's not in his life. It means he's able to now navigate it with open eyes. And that's why his destiny was calling.
Okay.
But a lot of people do see it as the context of cheating and all of that,
right.
You know. But let's go back to actually what you're talking about.
Yeah.
And I'm going to use a very, for me, one of the most traumatic experiences, which was COVID, which basically shut down the entire human experience for everybody in the world. And if you lost a lot of people in that period, I would say it was probably the worst period of a lot of people's lives.
Right.
But then as a journalist, where I'm interviewing so many incredible individuals that have managed to develop industries, businesses, I found that there are people who are having a parallel experience to us that is completely different from what we're going through. Where this is the best period of their life. And they're like, COVID changed my life. It was the best thing. I was able to change my wealth bracket. I was able to impact a community. I found my purpose in life. So I feel that life really is about how you see it. And as for me, as a woman of faith, I like to see always there's a silver lining. There is always a bright side. I don't believe in losses. I only believe in lessons. So for me, I feel that, you know, when you walk with faith, there's not really a lot for you to be worried about. It may not always go your way, but it's always designed for your greater good. And as long as you embrace that type of ethos in your life, there's always going to be a bright side. The glass is always full, and it's usually full of wine.
There you go. In fact, Peace Hyde just rhymed with bright side. So we ended on a positive note. Peace Hyde, executive producer over at Netflix, also journalist as well. Thank you so much for joining us to talk about the young global leaders. Appreciate it. Appreciate your time. You're watching the Global Business Report here on Arise News. We'll have more for you after the break. Our conversation with the chief economist